I just got back from the cinema seeing the Thunderbolts, and I can safely say this was a kick-ass movie. I really enjoyed it, and I'm going to tell you exactly why, and talk about some of the things I liked and disliked about this film. I will not be discussing spoilers. Everything you see and I talk about will be seen in the trailer. So in this film, the Thunderbolts, we have a team of anti-heroes and just plain all-out villains, let's be real. They are forced to do a sort of team up to kind of work together to get out of this situation, and then we also have Bob, who is also Sentry, who's thrown in the mix, and that's a really interesting concept. Now let's talk about what I just loved about the film. I love this group dynamic. I thought when they first came together, I kind of thought the dialogue was a bit cheesy, and I was kind of a bit skeptical about how this was going, but as it was going on, I was just finding myself laughing and loving. John Walker was just an absolute ass, and then they explained why he was acting the way he was, which was interesting. It was a bit more meat to the character. Ghost was actually really surprisingly great to see again. I love her powers, and I loved how she was fighting within this film, but the standouts by far were Yelena and Red Guardian. They were just outstanding. Red Guardian was just as funny as he ever was, and he actually had a really good father-daughter relationship with Yelena. If we're talking Bob, I really enjoyed this kind of dual kind of character of Sentry, and then also, as you see in the trailer, the Void. He did this really well. Lewis Pullman, Bill Pullman's son, I didn't even realize that until I looked up the casting list. He did a phenomenal job. I really think he nailed the character. I can understand if some people found him a bit annoying, but I didn't. I just thought he was fantastic. I loved his character, and I loved his relationship with Yelena, how they kind of had this bonding friendship. It was really engaging. If we're talking about things I didn't like to do with the characters and performances, Bucky, I felt like he was underutilized. He didn't have much screen time. He didn't really have much to do. He just kind of was thrown into the mix towards like the halfway mark. Great to see Bucky in this dynamic, but I wish we had a bit more time with him. And Valentina, I found her performance a little bit cheesy and annoying. I get that's what they were going for, but then sometimes it rubbed me the wrong way. It made me go like, oh God, stop, please stop. And they also had this assistant character, Australian, but she was fine. I thought she did an okay job. Nothing outstanding, nothing bad, just mid-tier. Let's talk about the action sequences here. I had some cool action sequences here. I really enjoyed them because of that group dynamic. Really made the action just work, how they were kind of building and helping each other and all that. It was fun. It was really engaging to watch. But as you can imagine, Sentry is this big bad villain, and they can't just necessarily go in and beat him up and just take him down. So they have to find another way to go about it. And that's what I found interesting. That's why I like this ending. And some people may found it disappointing. Like, you know, it's not that typical superhero beat him up, but I thought it was phenomenal. And if you want me to do a spoilers video talking about the things I loved and didn't like, let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to make that video. And surprisingly, the tone was just consistent here. It was consistently funny, but when it needed to be serious, Marvel didn't hold back. They went dark with a lot of elements within this, especially with Yelena, Bob, even John Walker. I loved all of that. They really just gave a bit more meat to these characters and weren't afraid to go into those darker elements. For the after credit scenes, setting up for the future Marvel projects. Again, trying to avoid spoilers, but it just made me so excited. Considering how good this film was, it just made me go, oh my God, I'm full throttle on this Marvel train again. Like, let's go, baby. I just found myself loving every scene of the Thunderbolts, and like, it's not the most outstanding film of all time. It's not going to bring people back from the MCU and get back on that hype train again, but it might as well. It potentially could. Like, I just don't think it's a guarantee. But I'm going to give this a surprisingly high 8 out of 10. Have you seen the film yet? Comment down below and let me know what you thought of it. What were some of your favorite moments?